Missourians tried to send that message at the primary election day, where our legislature put on the ballot an item that I immediately said I was going to vote for to send a message about more of this Obama control of health care. And the very next day after we had that primary election, the press asked Robert Gibbs, the White House spokesman at the White House, they said, well, yesterday in Missouri, a state that's a lot like the whole country, hundreds of thousands of people voted. The first time anybody was at the ballot box said what they thought about more government control of health care, and 72% of them said they didn't want to be part of your plan. And the question was, what does that mean to Robert Gibbs? And the answer was, it means nothing. It means nothing. Just in case you wondered if you're Missouri voters, what your opinion's worth in the White House, it means nothing. And the next day they asked Harry Reid, the majority leader in the Senate, the same thing. The first Thursday in August, the same thing. And he said, what does it mean? He said, oh, it just means they don't understand it yet. Well, no wonder people are mad. No wonder people are fed up. No wonder people intend to send a message. But wherever I go around Missouri, and I did my 870th campaign event last week in 18 months in our state. And I've tried to listen as much as I've tried to talk. I've tried to listen as much as I've tried to talk. And what I'm hearing from Missourians is, first of all, they believe this election is about who we're going to be. They believe this election is about something really big. And secondly, they are more engaged in the issues than any time I've ever seen. And part of that is the social media. Part of that's the way people communicate right now. But part of it is what they're trying to do in Washington right now. You know, a energy bill, a cap and trade bill that in our state and in Kansas as well would virtually double the utility bill in 10 years. And it goes up even more after that. Pretty quick getting to the bottom line of where these policies take us. He said, if my job goes away, I can't pay my utility bill no matter how big it is, and I can't help my mother pay hers. So whether it's a utility bill that would double, almost exactly 2 years ago today, the president at the San Francisco Chronicle, in a videotaped interview that they would not release, said under his energy policies, energy prices would, you know what he said, necessarily skyrocket. That's the plan. That's the plan to keep us from using the resources we have. And of course, I'm for more American energy of all kinds. And in a growing economy, you don't have to penalize the energy you've got, the energy infrastructure you've got to encourage more American energy. But his plan was for energy prices to skyrocket and for taxes to do what Lynn Jenkins said they were going to do, the biggest tax increase in American history. The child tax credit gets cut in half, the marriage penalty goes back into the tax code, the 15%, the 10% bracket becomes 15%. Every single family that pays taxes, income taxes, impacted by that. And the stimulus package that didn't work, you know, very quickly now, somebody's kids, everybody's kids are going to owe $800 billion that nobody owed to anybody in the world 18 months ago for a plan that was a complete failure. So no wonder people are engaged in the issues, because they know the issues are going to define the country. But they're also engaged in this big question of who we're going to be. And the question is, are we going to live in a country where the government is bigger than the people, or are we going to live in a country where the people are bigger than the government? It's as fundamental as who we are. Ronald Reagan said that even in the greatest country in the history of the world, that liberty cannot be passed along in the bloodstream. That every generation of Americans has to secure freedom for itself. And he didn't say that. He could have said any generation of Americans can lose freedom for a long time. Because freedom's easier to hold on to than it is to get back. And people are holding on to their values right now and who they want to be and what they want their country to be tighter than I've seen in a long time. You know, I always believe there wouldn't have been a Reagan administration if there hadn't been a Carter administration. And actually, that's the only good thing I have to say about the Carter administration. But in the same sense of who we're going to be, the last 18 or 20 months now may have been as important as any time in a generation, because it made us focus on who we're going to be. Are we going to live in a country where the government is bigger than the people, or are we going to live in a country where the people are bigger than the government? I think freedom's going to win. I think freedom's going to win. I think we're going to send a message that is clear to the people currently in charge in Washington, and it'll be so clear that some of them won't be in charge anymore very shortly after. Polls in this Missouri Senate race this year, and I've been ahead in all of them, and none of them count. The only one that counts is the one a week from today, where by now the polls are closed. Hopefully they're closed everywhere. We've got some history in our state of leaving the polls open in states that are more helpful to the other side later than everywhere else. But if the polls are closed, we have then done the job you and I need to do. But we've got a week to do it in. Still, the most powerful thing in politics is people hearing from someone they have confidence in why you're going to do what you're going to do. You can have big impact in the future of the country by having big impact in these races about Washington and about Jefferson City and about Topeka and about who we're going to be. And I need you to help. As far as I know, I don't agree with Robin Carnahan on anything. So it's not very complicated. Not very complicated. And by the way, your friends are not where they've necessarily always been. The biggest unreported story in Washington the last 18 months is that there has been a consistent bipartisan vote, and it's been the no vote. 34 Democrats voted with all the Republicans in the House against this health care scheme. Over 40 Democrats voted with all but 8 of the Republicans in the House against cap and trade. If this agenda is too extreme for Democrats in Washington, it's way too extreme for a whole bunch of Democrats you and I know at church and at school and at work, and we see at the soccer field and we see at the grocery store. It's way too extreme for them. So reach beyond what might be your normal comfort zone in politics and say, help me send a message. And on this side of this Senate seat in Missouri, the message is, let's send Roy Blunt. I will do everything I can, if you do that, to make you proud you gave that advice to the people that have confidence in you. Thank you all.
About this. You know, just a few weeks ago, Nancy Pelosi adjourned Congress and punted on the American people. She punted on the tax policies of 2001 and 2003, which are going to expire on December 31st. You know, as if we didn't have enough uncertainty out there in our daily lives and in our businesses. She also punted on the budget. For the first time as long as anybody can remember, she didn't pass a budget this year. Congress didn't pass a budget. One of the basic things that we're supposed to do. So right now, there is no budget parameters when it comes to spending. And that's what brings us to where, you know, they're in quite a quandary right now. And the interesting thing is they did it to themselves. They did this to themselves because the American people aren't going to stand for it. And folks are more energized now than they have ever been. And it's exciting to see that. And it's exciting to see it focused. And it's folks like you that are going to make this happen. We need to make this the biggest election ever. And then 2 years from now, we're going to make that one even bigger than this one. But Chris, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it very much. And thanks for everybody.